So, good afternoon. A very warm welcome to our today's webinar, How to Design and Scale Modern Web Apps for Insurance Companies. We are looking forward to the next approximately 60 minutes of insights and success stories. This event is co-hosted by Sum.cumo and GraphCMS. Let me introduce our panelists today. So we have Sven Wagner, who is front-end lead at Sum.cumo, Daniel Chennaoui, who is the Director of Digital Products and Strategy at Sum.cumo, Gregor Huber, Innovation Manager at Dextra Rechtsschutz, and myself, I will be the moderator for today. Looking forward to this session, and first, a few remarks regarding logistics. So as I said, approximately 60 minutes, and we will have a Q&A session of 15 minutes at the end of this webinar. You can submit your questions in the Q&A tab during the presentations, and we will pick them up at the end of the webinar. So whenever you have a question, just submit it, and yeah, I will pick it up and we will then discuss it. The agenda for today is 6 blocks. So a very short intro of Sum.cumo by Daniel and of GraphCMS by myself, followed by the extraordinary success story of Dextra Rechtsschutz, and then Sven will dive deeper into the building blocks and components for modern web applications. And he will wrap up this with a live demo of the Sum.cumo website and how they use GraphCMS. And yeah, finally, we will give you some recommendations going into 220. And yeah, then this is followed by a Q&A. A quick overview about GraphCMS. So we are a headless content management system, GraphQL native. So we are headquartered in Germany, but with offices in Europe and South America. Our customer base is pretty global, and our mission statement is to enable forward-thinking teams to deliver future-proof experiences at high velocity. Thus, what does this mean? We want to prepare teams for the architectural requirements of the upcoming years. And with regards to future-proof experiences, we want to serve very demanding users. So in all channels with hyper performance and very personalized digital experiences and high level of interactivity. Quick overview where GraphCMS fits in. As a headless CMS, we are decoupled from the front end. We are pure headless CMS. There are other CMS players out there which are more hybrid, meaning they are still page-centric or web-first. As I said, we are GraphQL native. So this means we are GraphQL from end to end, not like you maybe see somewhere else where you have also GraphQL, but you still have REST API under the surface. We are a cloud-based solution, also a commercial solution. So it's not open source and not self-hosted. Difference is also it's not read-only, it's read and write. And as shown here, it's very easy to connect to other API-based services, for example, marketing, analytics, or any other APIs, e-commerce platforms, just via webhooks. The big advantage is through decoupling front end from the back end, you can deliver the content really to every channel, to every platform, be it web, mobile app, voice, virtual reality, IoT, and so on and so on. Now I would like to hand over already to Daniel from Sum.cumo. Thanks for being with us and looking forward to your insights.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for being part of this webinar. I'm here actually not to explain in detail from a technology perspective of how GraphCMS works, but more to answer any possible question when it comes to why in general we use it and what's the business context. So to the why and the business, Sum.cumo uses GraphCMS and a lot of other actually software solutions when it comes to developing and designing and also implementing complete digital business models for insurers. We have a 360-degree skill set for that. And of course, when it comes to front-end coding, as you can see on the right, the yellow part, especially then GraphCMS comes into play. We have over 150 experts who are working with these kind of technologies. And if you come to the next slide, please. We have two typical cases in which we set up these kind of digital platforms. There's either the greenfield business application. That means that a new insurer is started, and we have to set up an end-to-end platform for this kind of insurer. So from marketing and front-end topics, UX design, visual design, etc., to the back-end part, to the operations. There we deliver as a tech partner solve every tech challenge this kind of insurers have. And on the other hand, we use also GraphCMS in our whole platform for established businesses who want to become digital, or at least have as we call it sometimes, an insurance online shop as part of a digital customer journey and all the interaction you want to have with customers. Although you sometimes have a legacy IT, especially core systems you you still want to use as an insurer. So GraphCMS is part of our end-to-end platform offering by default. And we use it also to automate a lot of business processes, and is, as you can tell, one possible tech solution, as we have a lot of other insurtechs in our ecosystem. Last slide already. So what we deliver is platforms based on 4 levels of components. So one is the front-end part, with a lot of solutions and parts of the software, mainly based on Vue.js, for example, and with a lot of self-service processes, etc. And then we come to the back end, which is client individual. And based on the Skip solution we have, the Sum.cumo Insurance platform, we have a lot of basic processes we bring into the place for the client individual business. And then we set up an infrastructure setup. So we know quite a lot of everything you need to know when it comes to digital businesses. And that's it already. So you at least have a glance on an understanding of why we talk here about it. As you can see, there's a small logo on the right, GraphCMS, and this is what comes next.
Yes, thanks a lot, Daniel, for presenting the Sum.cumo approach very quickly. We now want to actually have a look at one of your success stories where you, Sum.cumo, translated this framework very successfully into practice. So we have brought a case study from Dextra, a Swiss success story, a Swiss insurance company. Just for your information, the case study we will show now was recorded beforehand, but it should not harm the experience.
Yeah, let me welcome Gregor Huber, Innovation Manager at Dextra Rechtsschutz. He's based in Zurich, Switzerland. And Dextra is a joint customer of Sum.cumo and GraphCMS. Gregor is going to share their success story since their founding in 2012. Yeah, we are excited to have you here, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to begin and present our history a little bit, and then go on to see what we have built together with Sum.cumo. So our history began in 2012 when our former CEO and 3 others founded this company, and they were all working at big insurance companies, and they wanted to build an independent insurance company, and they did so on a privately founded basis, so there is no big insurance company involved. They wanted to base their company on a high performance and an attractive price model, and be as digitalized as possible, not just because this is fun, but also because this is really adapted to the needs of the customers nowadays. Of course, there will be customers left behind who are not digital, but we, from the start, were of the opinion that our company and all we stand for is not for people who want to still have a policy on paper. Those 4 founders started, as I said, in 2012, and I started 4 years ago when we were less than 10 people, and now we are even more than 90 on the slide here. Our growth is really, really fast. Our former CEO, Peter Dahler and Björn Freter from Sum.cumo, they were close friends, and our history starts together in 2012 when we developed the first claims system or software together. This was the beginning of a partnership which we will see is not only based on performance and developing systems, but also really on a nice amicable basis, which also has some effects of our private life, saying that we also sometimes have a beer together or go eat some. This is really important for me as well. We then developed several new systems based on the old system. We created the claims system, which is called Megadex, based on the old system, the Dex. We created 3 new portals, which is the Kundenportal, the customer portal, the portal for external lawyers, or in general for claims partners, and the broker portal. So all these people, our employees and customers, external lawyers and brokers, work on the same platform, and they're all able to see the same data, and we can choose which data are actually visible for them or not. So they are working on the same portal, they have different roles, and we can adapt this really easily also for customers. The main advantage of the system is also that customers do not only see their claims number and, for instance, documents, but they see every step our employee does. They see each comment they make. Whenever they upload something, they can opt in as how much they want to see. They can choose not to see anything, but the important messages will be always sent via push message. They don't get messages, of course, they only get the message that in the portal there is a new message. This is due to the GDPR regulations, which we have to be compliant with. So we have those portals. I want to quickly just mention some of the technical details. Sven will later get into detail with this, but the front-end development is based on Vue.js, a JavaScript framework for the creation of single-page applications and progressive web apps. We have GraphQL APIs for queries and write mutations between the services, and GraphCMS as GraphQL native headless CMS. But as I said, I'm no expert in those matters, so Sven will later dive into this in detail. Maybe I want to just add one thing. We built those portals, the new claim system and those portals, within 24 months. This is a really record time, I would say. I can't really compare because I've never done something like this before, but I really think that compared to other companies who are big insurance companies, which have, I don't know how many years for a rollout, we did it in 4 portals in 24 months, and this is really impressive, and it was a lot of hard work, but this shows also how great we work together and how close this partnership is. The website is also created by Sum.cumo and is based on the latest technology and also on the latest knowledge concerning design and e-commerce. I have to say that not only the technological aspect is from Sum.cumo, but also the design is made by Sum.cumo, and whatever is behind e-commerce, talking about behavioral patterns and whatnot, is all developed together with Sum.cumo. and we have a high success, of course, with this website. We have a really high conversion rate. The loading time is extremely fast, and we get a lot of good feedback as to what we really created here with this website. We built a great part of our success was that we won the legal protection test from the Consumer Protection Association in Switzerland, the most famous one, which is Kassensturz. Of course, because it's a really trustworthy test, this gave us quite a boost. And we had several other tests made from the same association in K-Geld, which is mostly about money topics, and K-Tip, which is a print version of the TV format. And we won several coverage tests in those magazines. We have a very high, as you can see, over 50% of the business goes through the online platform. But on the other side, we also have 900 certified brokers who use the portal. So it's in a way both digitalized, but we are still adapted to the broker market, not leaving them out. We have a really successful SEO and SEO, which is also done by Sum.cumo. It's the most successful Google placement campaign in Switzerland. And as I already mentioned before, we are really adaptive to the market in a way that we can add new customers to our systems, which we did in 2018. We, in a really short period of time, we created APIs for our new customer, the Group Retail, which is one of the largest health insurance in Switzerland. And we took over their claim settlement because it's Switzerland's regulated that they cannot do it themselves if they're already a health insurer. And this was really a big step forward for us as well. It was really fast. And together with Sum.cumo, we really created in the fastest time possible the API and could start with them. So in a nutshell, this is our success story. Christoph, I give back to you. That was all from me.
Yes, thanks a lot, Gregor, for this very inspiring and encouraging presentation. I think you were really able to push the boundaries of insurance and establish a real market leader in digital insurance. So thanks a lot for sharing your success story.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this was the presentation of Gregor and Dextra Rechtsschutz, and now we want to go one step further and to dive more into the technical components and the building blocks for modern web apps for insurers. And for this, let me introduce Sven, who will guide through the different components.
Okay, thank you, Christopher. Hello and welcome everybody to this webinar. I hope you have a nice afternoon. So just open the next slide, please. Mm-hmm. So as you all might know, the front-end requirements are rising massively. Not only the sales are rising, especially the mobile traffic is also increasing. And nowadays, the average website weighs more than 3 megabytes, and that's a lot of images and a lot of JavaScript. And these websites turn more and more into web apps and provides a more and more rich user interface. And this experience relies heavily on JavaScript. So just a reminder, since the download, parsing, and execution of JavaScript comes with high performance costs, you should consider to reduce or optimize these steps. And also take in mind that your customers may not have one of the latest flagship mobile devices and does not have a 4G internet connection at all. So we are talking about an average smartphone from 2015 15, which was then a flagship mobile device, and maybe a slow slow LTE or a medium 3G connection, and this has you have to keep that in mind. So in summary, speed matters, and this depends on the hardware and the software, but we cannot change the hardware, so we can only change the software. So you cannot just release a new website or a web app and give all your customers a new smartphone. So the only chance we have is to optimize the software. Next slide, please. So I think these slides are known for everybody, and it's the load time is particularly critical for mobile applications, and because it has a considerable influence on bounce rates and a considerable influence on the conversion rate. Next slide. And therefore, at Sum.cumo, our tech stack landscape looks like the following. So mainly we have Ruby on Rails in the back end and Vue.js in the front end. And in between these two software, we use GraphQL as our API layer. And that's not only for the backend data, so your contracts or your customer data, but also for the content from a content management system. And let me show you, let me dive a little bit deeper in the front end tech stack. So because we believe in the power of web technologies, and especially the PWA, the Progressive Web App. So why did we decide to develop progressive web apps? Let's compare the main architectures of front-end application. So one of the oldest is the principle of a static website, where you have your website with fixed code, and this makes the website less so there's less user interaction possible. It comes with a higher loading time, because every time you navigate through your website, some content are reloaded, redundant, and processed again on your device. So the next step was creating dynamic or hybrid apps where content is loaded dynamically via a lot of JavaScript and APIs where your data comes from. The user interaction is more possible, and a lot of these web apps were built as with a container in a native app with web technology, but this web technology, because it's loaded in the container, is less performant, and the feature support is on the website itself. So and also you are not independent from regulations and update processes of the App Store, meaning Apple and Google are they are controlling these app stores. So we choose the progressive web app, or more we choose single page applications with PWA functionalities. And so this single page application, it replaces your mobile and desktop website, and the progressive web app functionalities replaces the native app. So nowadays on the website, you can have an installation process for the customer. You can provide push notifications, offline ability, GPS support, camera, context support, and soon file access to your disk. And this progressive web app, it combines the advantages of a responsive website and a native app. Okay.
Thanks. So I'm going to elaborate on GraphQL very quickly. It's said in the community that GraphQL is this successor of REST API, so to say. GraphQL is a query language for APIs, and it is therefore very customizable, and it has some performance advantages. The reason for this is the data, only the data that are really needed are requested from the API, independently of the use case. So with REST APIs, you have typically more requests or oversized requests, which makes the calculation of the response not optimal and returns too many bytes. So several REST requests can be replaced by one GraphQL request. So it basically, what GraphQL does, it prevents over and or underfetching of data. So yeah, this is a big performance advantage. And it also comes with a higher flexibility and also low costs. So a single API is sufficient to serve different applications, different use cases. And yeah, you only have, in the end, one API to maintain, yeah, which makes it very efficient. And then I want to dive into the headless CMS concept very quickly. Traditional CMS versus headless CMSs. Traditional CMS are designed to create complete websites with created views. So the backend and frontend are not decoupled, but this means other media outside of the template of the CMS engine can not be easily served. I mean, there are workarounds, but it's getting yeah, inefficient, very inefficient. So in the future, we must be able to serve a variety of devices and platforms. Not only web and mobile, but also other channels, TV, smartwatches. Voice is also an upcoming trend, for example, IoT devices, etc. So, and here headless CMS really comes into play, which really only delivers data and not the complete site. So the presentation of the data is defined only in the respective front-end application and not in the CMS. So you really have the freedom also to choose which front-end framework and which channel where you need your data. So the content is independent from programming language, server, or type of structure. And this is a kind of single source of truth for all your channels. So it's also cost efficient in a way. And of course, it simplifies handling and training. So the focus is really on the content and not on the output format. So Sven, I think this is your slides.
Yes, thank you. So the performant front-end implementation at Sum.cumo's projects looks like the following. We have a detached headless CMS with a modern GraphQL API. And this modern flexible GraphQL APIs, they are easy. They have easy connectivity of multiple front ends and reducing server-client communication. The website as a progressive web app is server-side rendered completely only once and gets updated on demand and the appropriate part of the website when the user is navigating through the web app. The mobile and desktop website in the web app reduces costs and allows a fast time to market. and also the component-based with a Vue.js developed single-page application with a headless CMS gives us instant performance and overall low loading times when the user is using our app. And we also have follows the claim mobile first and UX optimized, and this is a consequent alignment to future demands, as Christopher said before. Yes. So what's the Sum.cumo best practice? We strictly separate the content and from the UX business logic and processes. So the component-based development allows us to identify repeating UI elements and build reusable and shareable components of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For some time now, this framework has been used by default on our websites. And around Vue.js, Sum.cumo has developed a modern tech stack that serves as a basis for customer projects and can be easily and flexibly extended according to customer requirements. By each further use of single-page application with progressive web app functionalities in our customer projects, we establish a more and more comprehensive standard for web interactions in the insurance market. With a single-page application structure, only the relevant content is exchanged during a user interaction, and the entire page is never reloaded completely. For this purpose, the content is dynamically rewritten instead of loading completely new pages from the server. This ensures a noticeably faster loading time on all end devices, and the user experience resembles navigation through a native app of the smartphone. And I want to show you some of these concepts on our website. So let me share my screen for you. So where is it? I hope everybody can see this. So here we have our website, and when you are using a headless CMS, you have to identify your content and put it into reusable or put it into model schemas. And on our website, we have two main models. One model is the article itself. It contains a headline, an image, the content itself, and at the end of the article, there is another model of your data, of our data, and that's the author. The author itself, it has also an image. It has a first name, a last name, some labels, and also a description. And as you can see here, we have reused these data in different ways. So here is the article in its full size, and on the right we have other articles of the same models the same model, and it's the same data. So here is also the headline and the image, some labels, content, and the author. But it's shown in different ways. But in the content management system, in GraphCMS as a headless CMS. We are using there's one single source of truth for the whole data, and this makes it very flexible to create new layouts or new views to represent your data. For example, if you go to the home page, here is also another implementation of different articles. And here's another slider. The author, for example, it can be displayed like this, or if you click on it, you have another view of these data, and here are other articles of these of this author. So we are very flexible, and because everybody at Sum.cumo might be an author for our website, all these authors are also listed here. So let me switch to our GraphCMS content schema. So as I said, we have for example the article and the author schema. In GraphCMS, it's easily to create new models and create it that fits your needs. And if you want to edit, for example, we have here the headline of the article. As you can see, it's the headline. Here you can display some descriptions for your content editors. You can say that it's a localized field to support different languages. You can say that this field is unique or it's required. And there are also other field types. For example, there are a single line of text. There is a multi-line of text, or even Markdown. You can connect assets or have enumerations, a date picker, and so on. And the author, for example, it contains a first name, a last name, a URL, and yes, and this relation, as I mentioned before, to articles. On the article, for example, you can see it has a relation to authors. You can add n-to-n, one-to-n, or n-to-one connections. And when you set up your schema and you want to fill in the content, you can see there are these here you can edit the data. This is the first name and the last name as it's described in the schema. And here are images you can connect. And so with these tools, you can easily build up your setup for your data. And you can also give it a try in the API Explorer. And this looks, if you're familiar you can just type these. Just copy this. This is a typical query for all the authors we have, where I said I just want to query all authors with the first name Sven, and your data response. Apparently we have 3 Svens at our company. But it's also possible to add other fields to your response, and This is the data that is sent from your web application, and this is the query that is sent from your web application to the backend service from the headless CMS, and it gives you just the data back that you requested. And there's yeah, that's very efficiently. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sven, for the live demo. Really cool. I think we have now yeah, some recommendations prepared going forward to 2020 very soon. So let us share them with you. So yeah, Daniel.
Yes, of course, these recommendations are more from a business perspective, not from a tech perspective. So there might be for some of you guys a bit superficial maybe, but just to give you the context of what's happening here. From our view, insurers have to find an answer to this whole digital disruption topic, of course. But it's not a strategy discussion, but it's like happening now because there are already very strong digital players around. And independent from the whole roadmap, strategy discussions, etc., it's extremely important to at least take a quantum leap in communicating with and servicing online customers. So when it comes to where to put the focus in digitalization, it's definitely when customer interaction. And then if you talk about customer interaction, it's about all the e-commerce processes you have to be able to really satisfy customer needs of nowadays, because people are used to e-commerce usability and experiences. So like Amazon and so on, people are used to very fast, reliable, fit to their queries, questions. And for this reason, we think GraphCMS is actually one of the best software solutions you can use, because then, as Sven especially described, we have a very efficient and modular way of interaction with your content and your customers. So that's already it.
Yes, so yeah, we are already approaching the end of the webinar. So thanks a lot, Sven, and thanks a lot, Daniel. Presentation part is over now, and we hope you liked it and you were able to generate a few learnings. We're looking forward to your questions now.